Right now, you're fighting a war you haven't identified yet. Maybe it's a coworker who smiles at you in meetings while quietly working against you behind closed doors. Maybe it's a rival who's moving faster than you, and every day you wait costs you ground. Maybe it's a family conflict that's been simmering for years, never resolved, just managed. Whatever it is, you've been trying to fight it with tools that don't match the battlefield, and that mismatch is the actual reason you keep losing ground you shouldn't be losing. Two men, 2,000 years apart, built the two operating systems almost everyone alive is unconsciously running. Sun Tzu taught the world to win before the fight even starts. Machiavelli taught the world to wait, absorb, and strike once, completely, when the moment finally arrives. Most people have never consciously chosen between these two systems. They just default to one, badly, and wonder why it isn't working. Quick disclaimer before we start. This is an educational breakdown of historical philosophy and strategic thinking, not professional advice. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which war you're actually in, and which of these two minds you should be borrowing from. Stay to the end. The seventh rule is where these two men completely contradict each other, and only one of them is right for the fight you're currently in. Let's begin. Rule 1. Most of your battles should never happen at all. Sun Tzu's sharpest line, still quoted more than any other strategist in history. The supreme skill is breaking resistance without ever fighting. Most people don't operate this way. Most people wait until a conflict is already in motion, then throw everything they have at winning it. That's expensive. It costs time, energy, reputation, and it puts the outcome partially outside your control the moment the confrontation actually begins. Sun Tzu's real insight wasn't about combat, it was about timing. The idea that the fight you avoid entirely is always cheaper than the fight you win. Machiavelli disagreed, and his disagreement matters. He assumed conflict was often unavoidable, and built his entire framework around what happens once it's already here. Crush it completely, or don't engage at all, because a half-resolved conflict doesn't disappear, it just goes dormant. Here's what this actually means for you. Before you engage with a difficult coworker, a manipulative relative, a competitor circling your position, ask a colder question first. Does this conflict need to happen, or have I simply assumed it does because I feel provoked? Most confrontations people walk into were entirely avoidable if they'd been willing to plan 2 steps ahead instead of reacting in the moment. Think about the last argument you had that actually mattered. Trace it backward, honestly. Was there a point, days or even weeks before it exploded, where a small adjustment, a boundary set early, a conversation had calmly, instead of avoided, could have prevented the entire escalation? For most people, the answer is yes, more often than they'd like to admit. The blow-up wasn't inevitable. It was the accumulated cost of every earlier moment where a smaller, quieter move was available and skipped. This is what separates people who seem to move through life absorbing fewer hits than everyone around them. It's not that conflict avoids them by luck. It's that they've quietly built the habit of resolving friction while it's still small, cheap, and invisible to everyone else, long before it has the chance to become the kind of fight that costs something real. The people who move through conflict with the least visible damage aren't the ones who win the most fights. They're the ones who somehow keep finding themselves in fewer fights to begin with, not through luck, but through quietly removing the conditions that would have created one. Rule 2. Deception has an expiration date. Patience doesn't. All warfare, Sun Tzu wrote, is based on deception. Appear weak when you're strong. Appear absent when you're near. It's tactical, a tool for a specific moment, a specific engagement, and once that engagement ends, the deception ends with it. Machiavelli's version runs on a different clock entirely. Never let an enemy know they're your enemy until it's too late for them to act on it. And that performance can run for months, years, sometimes a lifetime, long after any single battle would have ended. This is the distinction most people never make, and it costs them. If you're dealing with a short, contained conflict, a single negotiation, a single confrontation, Sun Tzu's tactical misdirection works. Play your cards close, let them misjudge your position, resolve it, move on. But if you're dealing with someone embedded in your life long-term, a colleague you'll see every day for years, a family member you can't simply walk away from, tactical deception burns out fast and leaves you exposed the moment it's discovered. What that situation actually requires is Machiavelli's colder patience, consistent warmth on the surface, complete clarity underneath about where you actually stand, and zero urgency to resolve anything before you're genuinely ready to. Watch what happens to people who get this backward. Someone tries a short, sharp power move, a calculated silence, a strategic withholding, against a relationship that was never a single battle to begin with. It reads as erratic, not strategic, because the timeline doesn't match the terrain. And on the flip side, someone tries to play a slow, patient, long game against a threat that needed an immediate, decisive response. A scam, a betrayal that required an instant boundary. And by the time they've finished being patient, the damage is already permanent and irreversible. Confusing these two timelines is exactly why people either escalate situations that needed patience or sit passively in situations that needed a fast, decisive move. Before you choose your approach, ask one simple question. Is this conflict going to end this week, or is this a relationship I'll still be navigating a year from now? The answer decides which clock you should actually be running on. Rule 3. Studying someone's capability tells you less than studying their character. Know the enemy and know yourself, and you need not fear 100 battles. Everyone quotes this. Almost no one applies it correctly. Sun Tzu meant capability, resources, position, strength, what someone is actually able to do to you. Machiavelli was after something colder and more useful, character, what someone wants, what they're afraid of losing, and precisely how far they'll go to protect it. Here's the part worth sitting with. You've probably lost more to people whose character you underestimated than to people whose capability you underestimated. The co-worker who seemed harmless but needed to be right in every room. The friend who seemed loyal but couldn't tolerate you outgrowing them. The competitor who seemed weaker on paper but was willing to do things you weren't. None of these people beat you through superior resources. They beat you because you never studied what they actually wanted badly enough to act on. This is worth slowing down on, because most people study the wrong variable entirely. They size someone up by title, by resume, by how confident that person sounds in a room, all capability signals. Meanwhile, the actual predictor of how someone will behave under pressure is almost never visible on the surface. It's what they're protecting. Someone protecting their reputation will behave completely differently under threat than someone protecting their income, and both will behave differently again from someone protecting their sense of being right. Miss that distinction, and you'll keep being surprised by behavior that, in hindsight, was entirely predictable. Before your next real conflict, stop asking what someone is capable of and start asking what they actually need. Needs predict behavior. Capability just predicts potential. The people who read rooms accurately aren't smarter than everyone else in them. They're simply asking the second question while everyone else is still stuck on the first. Try this the next time you feel blindsided by someone's behavior. Instead of asking, "How could they do that?" ask, "What were they actually protecting when they did it?" Almost every confusing betrayal makes sudden, uncomfortable sense once you locate the thing that person was genuinely afraid of losing. Rule 4. Mercy is never about the other person. Sun Tzu advised against needless destruction. The worst policy is attacking a fortified city, expensive, wasteful, and it leaves you holding a ruin instead of a prize. His mercy was economic. Spare what you can absorb intact. Machiavelli's mercy was tactical. Forgiveness, deployed only when it serves your position, withheld exactly as often as it's extended, with the other person's feelings never actually entering the calculation. Neither of these is the mercy you were taught growing up. Both of them are cost-benefit analysis wearing a gentler word. This matters because most people extend forgiveness reflexively, automatically, regardless of whether the other person has changed anything at all, and reflexive forgiveness quietly removes any incentive for someone to actually change because they've learned there's no real consequence waiting for them either way. Watch this pattern in almost any relationship that keeps repeating the same conflict. The apology arrives, the forgiveness arrives just as fast, nothing structural ever changes, and 6 months later the exact same argument happens again, word for word, because forgiveness was never actually functioning as a consequence. It was functioning as a formality. The next time you're deciding whether to forgive someone, ask the uncomfortable question honestly: is this forgiveness because they've actually earned it, or because staying angry felt like more effort than letting it go? There's a real difference between forgiveness that restores a relationship and forgiveness that simply avoids the discomfort of a difficult conversation. Only one of those actually protects you going forward. There's also a version of Sun Tzu's economic mercy worth applying here. Sometimes the smartest move isn't punishment or forgiveness. It's simply calculating whether the conflict is even worth the resources required to pursue it fully. Not every wrong done to you needs a reckoning. Some of them simply need to be logged, remembered, and quietly deprioritized, because chasing every grievance to its conclusion is its own kind of drain, regardless of how justified the grievance is. Real forgiveness, used well, isn't automatic. It's a decision, evaluated the same way you'd evaluate any other resource, spent only when it actually moves you forward, and withheld without guilt when it doesn't. Rule 5. You're probably fighting the wrong kind of war. Sun Tzu, obsessed over terrain. Mountains, rivers, narrow passes, open ground. Whoever read the physical battlefield first held an advantage no courage could overcome. Machiavelli's terrain was never physical. It was institutional. The quiet loyalties, rivalries, and self-interest running underneath every court, every office, every family gathering, invisible to anyone who wasn't paying close attention. This is the single biggest mistake people make without ever realizing it, bringing Sun Tzu's tools to Machiavelli's war. Sun Tzu's framework works when the battlefield is visible, a market, a competition, a conflict with two clear sides. Machiavelli's framework works when the battlefield is hidden, an office, a family, anywhere the real danger isn't the person across from you, but the person standing beside you, smiling, while quietly working out how to replace you. Think about how often people bring loud, direct confrontation into a workplace conflict that was never actually about the surface issue at all. They win the argument in the meeting and lose the political ground underneath it, because everyone in that room Just watch them misread the actual terrain. And think about the opposite mistake. Someone facing an obvious external competitor, a clear market rival, choosing to play a slow, quiet, wait-and-see game against someone who's moving fast and visibly, and getting outpaced entirely, simply because patience was the wrong tool for a battlefield anyone could see clearly. Ask yourself honestly which war you're actually in right now. If you're bringing fast, visible, direct tactics into a slow, political, relationship-based conflict, you're going to look reckless and get quietly removed from the room before you understand why. If you're bringing patient, indirect maneuvering into a fast, visible competition, you're going to get outpaced by someone who simply moved first. Most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they never correctly identified the terrain they were standing on. Here's a fast diagnostic worth keeping. If you can point to the conflict, name the opposing side out loud, and everyone involved would agree on what's actually being contested. That's Sun Tzu's terrain. If the conflict has no clear starting point, no one would admit it's even happening, and half the danger comes from people who present as allies. That's Machiavelli's terrain. Get the diagnosis right before you choose the weapon. Rule 6. Speed wins visible wars. Patience wins hidden ones. Sun Tzu was almost obsessive about speed. No country has ever benefited from a prolonged war. Drag a conflict out, and you bleed resources and opportunity, even in eventual victory. Machiavelli was a patient man's philosopher. Remember the opening of this channel's very first breakdown of him, a public forgiveness, warmly extended, followed 18 months later by a consequence no one could ever trace back to its true origin. That's not a strategy measured in days. That's a strategy measured in years. Here's how to actually use this. When a conflict has a visible beginning, a visible end, and a battlefield anyone could point to, speed is your advantage. Every day it drags on is a day more can go wrong, and decisiveness wins. But when a conflict is quiet, ongoing, embedded in a relationship or a workplace you can't simply exit, patience is your advantage, because moving fast in that kind of war gets you caught before you've even finished planning your position. There's a specific trap worth naming here, because it catches capable people constantly. Impatience disguised as decisiveness. Someone feels the discomfort of an unresolved hidden conflict, mistakes that discomfort for a signal to act immediately, and moves before the groundwork is actually laid, tipping their hand, alerting the other side, and losing the single advantage patience would have given them. The discomfort of waiting is not the same thing as evidence that waiting is the wrong move. Often, it's simply the cost of doing this correctly. The discipline here isn't picking one of these permanently. It's recognizing, before you act, which clock you're actually operating on, and refusing to let impatience push you into premature action, or caution talk you out of a moment that genuinely required speed. Ask yourself, plainly, before your next move, am I about to act because the timing is actually right, or because I simply can't tolerate the discomfort of waiting any longer? Those two things feel identical in the moment. They are not identical in their consequences. Rule 7. The contradiction that settles everything. Here's where these two men completely disagree, and it's the rule that actually matters most. Sun Tzu believed the supreme skill was winning so completely in the planning stage that the battle itself becomes unnecessary. To him, if you're forced into open conflict at all, something already went wrong upstream. Machiavelli believed the opposite. That avoiding a necessary conflict wasn't wisdom. It was cowardice wearing patience as a disguise. That waiting too long, hoping a real threat resolves itself quietly, is exactly how capable people end up blindsided by someone less sentimental than they were. Notice what these two men were never actually disagreeing about. Neither one told you to avoid decisive action. They disagreed entirely about when that decisiveness should land. Sun Tzu wanting it so early, it never even looks like conflict. Machiavelli willing to let it come late, but making certain that when it finally arrives, it's total and irreversible. This is the question worth asking yourself honestly about whatever conflict is sitting in your life right now, unresolved. Are you avoiding it because you've genuinely planned it out of existence, or are you avoiding it because avoidance simply feels safer than the discomfort of acting? Those are two completely different things, and only one of them is actually strategy. The other one is just fear, wearing strategy's clothes. There's a simple test to tell the difference. Genuine Sun Tzu-style avoidance leaves you in a stronger position every single week that passes. Resources growing, leverage increasing, the eventual confrontation becoming less and less necessary. Fear-based avoidance leaves you exactly where you started, or worse, with the same unresolved threat quietly gaining strength while you gain nothing. If a month of waiting hasn't measurably improved your position, you're not being strategic, you're just being afraid and calling it patience. Neither of these men would have told you to become someone else entirely. They'd have told you to stop bringing the wrong weapon to the war you're actually fighting. Sun Tzu wins the visible battlefield, the market, the competition, the conflict everyone can see. Machiavelli wins the hidden one, the office politics, the family tension, the rivalry disguised as friendship. Most people lose, not because they're weak, but because they've spent years using one framework for every kind of war, never stopping to ask which war was actually in front of them. This week, before you react to anything that provokes you, ask the colder question first. Is this Sun Tzu's war or Machiavelli's? The answer changes everything about how you should actually move. Tell me in the comments, right now, is your biggest conflict a visible one or a hidden one? I'll read every single answer. And if you want the next mind added to this comparison, subscribe, because next time we're bringing in a third philosopher whose rules make both of these men look almost gentle. I'll see you in the next one.